The press conference has begun.
मनपूर्वक आभार मानतो की आज या ठिकाणी आपण मला निमंत्रित केलं आणि आपल्याशी संवाद साधण्याची संधी दिली. खरं सांगायचं झालं तर इतके वर्ष पत्रकार परिषद घेतल्या पण कधी दडपण वाटलं नाही. आज थोडं वाटतंय कारण रोल बदललाय. पण निश्चितपणे राज्यातल्या जनतेने खूप अपेक्षेने आम्हाला निवडून दिलाय आणि त्या अपेक्षांचं एक ओझं हे निश्चितपणे आहे. पण मला असं वाटतं की ते ओझ्यापेक्षा देखील ती जबाबदारी आहे. कारण ओझं म्हटलं म्हणजे तो एक नकारार्थी अशा प्रकारचा शब्द आहे. मला असं वाटतं की एक मोठी जबाबदारी ती गोष्टींची आहे. आणि म्हणून आज पहिली कॅबिनेटची बैठक आम्ही जी घेतली त्याच्यामध्ये पहिला निर्णय आम्ही असा घेतला की राज्यामध्ये आम्ही सेवा हमी विधेयक आणणार आहोत.
Devendra Fadnavis, the Chief of Maharashtra, who's just taken charge, is saying is that he understands the responsibility that he's holding. He initially started by calling it, I understand the burden of responsibilities, and then also corrected himself, saying burden is a rather negative word. Let me say, I understand the responsibilities. There has to be transparency and efficiency in the system of governance, and that's what this government will aim for. He also talked about the first cabinet decision that has already been taken by his government. A cabinet meeting was held just before he came for this press conference, and they've decided to implement what is called the right to service. And currently he's enumerating on what that idea and what that plan of this new government is going to be.
त्यांच्या करता त्या सेवा वेळेवर मिळाल्या पाहिजेत, योग्य प्रकारे मिळाल्या पाहिजेत. कुठला लीगल रिकोर्स.
He's also talking about how each and every department will now have to prepare a list of services that each department actually is responsible for, and hence that's one of the ways that they will prepare a charter, and that's how they will actually follow up on this new decision taken on the right to service. Initially started this press conference by saying that I have addressed a number of press conferences, but I've never felt a sense of nervousness. This is the first time that I do feel some sense of nervousness, and also talked about how he understands it comes with all the responsibilities that he's now shouldering as Chief Minister.
या सगळ्या सेवांकरता काय काय आवश्यक आहे त्याचं देखील एक ट्रान्सपरंट डॉक्युमेंट लोकांना उपलब्ध करून द्यावं लागेल. ज्या माध्यमातून जर ती सेवा वेळेवर मिळाली नाही, आज ज्या प्रकारे माहितीच्या अधिकाराच्या कायद्यामध्ये आपण बघतो की माहिती जर वेळेवर मिळाली नाही तर जनमाहिती अधिकाराच्या वर
often gets stuck in a number of processes, and how he's also planning to include a system of transparency so that even something like the right to information will mean that people can actually use it to their benefit, and the common man is not harassed by constantly going to government offices only for the sake of information. So he's talking about how he wants to introduce a more transparent system of governance in the state.
तसंच आज जर एखाद्या नागरिकाला एखादी सर्व्हिस मिळाली नाही आणि तो चक्रा मारत राहिला तरी देखील कुठल्याही त्याच्याजवळ
the option of legal recourse that any common citizen can avail of, and how that system is being developed, and that's something that will be the focus of this governance. Like you pointed out right at the beginning, transparency and efficiency, two words that are used often, but the gap between the two ends up being a wide gap, which is why the common man suffers. And this government will focus on trying to narrow the gap so that these two terms are not just words but actually mean something and can benefit the life of the common man.
या संदर्भातला मसुदा असलेला रिपोर्ट हा मंत्रिमंडळाकडे सादर करावा जेणेकरून आम्हाला.
He's not talking about the financial status of Maharashtra, and it's not unknown that Maharashtra faces a huge fiscal deficit, and he says he's very well aware of that fact, and he also realizes that there is a loan of, in fact, there's a loan of 52,000 crore that the state will need to raise if it has to make any development plans for the future.
सरकारने जी आश्वासनं दिलेली आहेत ती सगळीच आश्वासनं पूर्ण करायची असतील तर साधारणपणे 52,000 कोटी रुपयाचं कर्ज हे राज्याला नव्याने काढावं लागेल.
think there will have to be a sense of audit that has to be taken of all the assurances that have been made by the previous government and assurances that have financial implications. All of those will have to be carefully reviewed in order to know the exact status of what the checks and balances are of the state as far as the financial condition is concerned.
सगळ्या गोष्टीचा नीट आढावा बजेटच्या काळामध्ये आम्ही घेऊ आणि आम्ही ठरवलंय की मंत्रिमंडळ बैठकीत
And that seems very much in line with the Prime Minister has also done. In fact, when Narendra Modi took over as the Prime Minister, initially the first 1 month he took presentations from different departments, different ministries to get a sense of what the current status of each ministry and department is. Devendra Fadnavis going on the same line, saying that he will take presentations from each of the departments, so he has a clear idea of where each department stands, so that the next plans can be made on the basis of the reality checks that are done, the checks and balances, and then make the plan for development and the future calls.
राज्यातल्या जनतेला एवढीच हमी देतो की आमचा सगळा फोकस हा विकासाकडे राज्य विकासाकडे न्यायचं आणि सर्वसमावेशक विकास घडवायचा या दृष्टीने सगळ्या योजना यापुढे आम्ही
Devendra Fadnavis also saying, trying to assure everyone through the media here in the Secretariat, saying that in governance it's possible that mistakes can be made, but my focus will be to make sure those mistakes that happen are not out of any malified intention.
त्याच्या पाठीमागे कधीही मॅलाफाईड इंटेन्शन आपण बेईमानी म्हणतो अशा प्रकारची मानसिकता कधी राहणार नाही ते आम्ही एन्शुअर करू आणि 15 वर्षाची जी विस्कटलेली घडी आहे ती घडी बसवण्याकरता निश्चितपणे आम्हाला अनेक वेळा अनेक सरकार 100 दिवसात काय करायचं याचा अजेंडा तयार करतात राबवतात देखील.
An important point that he's making also is not just development for the state, but also development with the sense of pace to it, a sense of acceleration to it, because there have been a number of projects that have been stuck, and there has been a sense of policy paralysis in the previous government. So he's talking about not just having development, but also a sense of urgency with that as well. He also acknowledges that there will be a lot more scrutiny now that he is the Chief Minister. So he acknowledges that the media will certainly be putting him under much more scrutiny now that he's on the other side of the opposition benches. In the introduction, when he was actually introduced, at that time there was a point raised about number of attacks on journalists in the state, and he's saying this is something that we had supported even when we were in the opposition. So certainly it is one of our priority areas, and we will be taking a call on this soon, and hopefully a decision can be arrived at on this. In fact, there used to be a procedure here in Maharashtra that after every cabinet meeting, there would be a customary press conference, and that was something that was actually stopped in the last few months of the previous government. And he's saying he is going to restore that tradition now, and also saying that he believes in the flow of information, and hence he will restore that tradition once again.
ती बातमी तुम्ही बरोबर काढता
ज्या अँगलने मिळाली
ज्याच्या अँगलने मिळाली त्या अँगलने ती येते त्यापेक्षा आम्हीच ब्रीफ केलेलं अधिक बरं आमच्याही सोयीचं तेच आहे म्हणून निश्चितपणे ही प्रथा आम्ही डिस्टर्ब करू आपलं सगळ्यांचं खूप सहकार्य मिळावं ही सर्वांना विनंती करू आम्ही चर्चा करतो, चर्चा करून त्या संदर्भात निर्णय